Are you an aspiring comic book writer? In this video, I'm going to talk to you about 3 screenwriting books which comic book writers should read. Before we get into the lesson, I should address the elephant in the room. Some of you may be wondering, if this YouTube channel is about writing for comics, then why am I recommending books on screenwriting? Shouldn't I be recommending books about comic book writing? The answer is, while yes, there's many great books out there about comic book writing. In fact, I've provided links to several in the description section below. The 3 screenwriting books which I'm about to talk to you about take an extra deep dive into story structure. Story structure that works for all visual mediums, including comics. Furthermore, both screenwriting and comic book writing have this in common. They both require a writer to tell a story through pictures. Therefore, learning screenwriting skills and visual storytelling skills in general will only help you as a comic book writer. Please be aware that these book recommendations come not from me, but from a successful comic book writer named Doug Wagner, who I recently interviewed. You can find that video linked in the description section. If you're interested in checking out Doug's work, then you're in luck, because he has a new Image comic book coming out called Vinyl, which is set in the universe of his other popular Image comic series called Plastic. If you'd like to pre-order Vinyl, then you can find the link in the description below. If we're meeting for the first time, my name is Angelo. I'm an indie comic book writer, and I have a confession to make. Storytelling used to be a huge struggle for me before I learned the basics. That's why I teach how to write comics here on YouTube. With that said, let's get into the lesson. Here are the 3 screenwriting books which comic book writers should read. By the way, Doug Wagner recommends you read them in this order because they will build upon one another. Number 1 is Screenplay, The Foundations of Screenwriting by Sid Field. This book is noted as the first to identify the 3-act screenplay model, the heart of which is called the paradigm. You can see a graphic of the paradigm on screen now. Sid Field asked, what do all stories have in common? The answer is a beginning, middle, and end. As you can see from the paradigm, the beginning, middle, and end correspond to the setup, confrontation, and resolution, also known as Acts 1, 2, and 3. So when you're writing your story, how do you distinguish between the 3 acts? In other words, how do you separate them into 3 distinct sections? The answer is to insert 2 plot points. What exactly is a plot point? According to Sid Field, quote, a plot point is defined as any incident, episode, or event that hooks into the action and spins it around in another direction. End quote. Just like Sid Field does, let's use the movie Collateral as an example. For those who don't know, Collateral is a 2004 movie about a hitman named Vincent, played by Tom Cruise, who hires an unwitting taxi driver named Max, played by Jamie Foxx, to transport him from place to place as he stealthily assassinates 5 people. Warning, spoilers are ahead. Plot point 1 occurs when something goes wrong. A dead body falls upon the roof of Max's taxicab. Thus, Max learns who Vincent really is. This then leads us to Act 2, where Max is forced to drive Vincent around town to assassinate the 4 other people on the hit list. Plot point 2 occurs when, after 3 more assassinations, Max decides there's only one way to stop Vincent, and he wrecks the taxicab in a high-speed crash. This leads us to Act 3 and the climax of the story, where Max saves the life of the last person on Vincent's hit list. And there you have it. Plot points 1 and 2 were used to divide up the movie Collateral into Acts 1, 2, and 3. Moving on. Number 2 is Save the Cat, the last book on screenwriting you'll ever need, by Blake Snyder. Although Blake Snyder is well known for his famous beat sheet, which is an outline of 15 common moments or beats found in many commercially successful movies, for the purposes of this video, we are not going to analyze the beat sheet. Rather, let's examine the title of the book. What does Save the Cat mean exactly? You can find the answer in Chapter 6, entitled The Immutable Laws of Screenplay Physics. In that chapter, Save the Cat is listed as the first of 7 common sense rules of screenwriting. According to Blake Snyder, quote, Save the Cat is the screenwriting rule that says the hero has to do something when we meet him so that we like him and want him to win. Does this mean that every movie we see has to have some scene in it where the hero gives a buck to a blind man in order to get us on board? Well, no, because that's only part of the definition. The adjunct to Save the Cat says, a screenwriter must be mindful of getting the audience in sync with the plight of the hero from the very start. The point of all this is care. Though you don't have to have a scene in every movie where the hero literally saves a cat, helps an old lady across the street, or gets splashed by water at the street corner to make us love him. You must take the audience by the hand every time out and get them in sync with your main character and your story. You must take time to frame the hero's situation in a way that makes us root for him, no matter who he is or what he does. If you don't, you're not doing your job. Boom. Before we get to the third screenwriting book, here is a bonus book which Doug Wagner recommends you read after Save the Cat. Be aware, it's not a book on screenwriting per se, but it's definitely a classic on storytelling. It's called Hero with 1,000 Faces by Joseph Campbell. After finishing the book myself, I can tell you that it's an extremely thorough overview of many ancient stories from around the world. That said, you may be wondering, why would such a scholarly book be included in a list of screenwriting books? The answer is because Campbell left a huge impact on one screenwriter in particular, who you may have heard of. George Lucas. That's correct, you heard me right. George Lucas, by his own admission, wrote Star Wars based on what he learned in the book Hero with 1,000 Faces. In fact, Lucas and Campbell were good friends.
My last mentor probably was Joe Campbell, who asked a lot of the interesting questions.
So what exactly is the book about? After rigorously studying and comparing many ancient stories from around the world, Campbell discovered a pattern. Heroic protagonists who undergo an epic quest tend to experience a similar set of events, 17 events to be specific, which Campbell called the monomyth, aka the hero's journey. For the sake of time, I won't list off all 17 events. However, suffice it to say, they can be boiled down to 3 main phases: departure, initiation, and return. For those who are interested in learning more about Campbell's book, I've also conveniently created a YouTube playlist for you, which you can find linked in the description section. And finally, the third book on screenwriting is Story: Substance, Structure, Style, and the Principles of Screenwriting by Robert McKee. To be honest, this book is dense. So dense that I would liken it to an encyclopedia, because it's packed with so much useful information on just about everything you could ever want to know on stories. From types of plots, to types of conflicts, to types of genres. I could go on and on.
I could go on forever, baby.
Suffice it to say, there are a lot of really great gold nuggets in this book. That said, I have some good news for you. Robert McKee, who is the only author on this list currently living, has his own YouTube channel, which I've linked in the description section. I hope you check it out and learn a lot. And there you have it, 3 screenwriting books which comic book writers should read, plus a bonus. Thank you again to Doug Wagner for taking the time to share his knowledge. If you viewers would like to learn more about his new Image comic book, Vinyl, then check out the link in the description below. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions for future videos, then please let me know in the comment section down below. If you found this video helpful and you'd like me to keep making more, then please convey that to both me and the YouTube algorithm by hitting like, subscribe, and the bell icon for notifications. If you're interested in watching another helpful video from my channel, then check out some of the video suggestions that you'll see on the next screen.